The witching hour, the time between midnight and 3 a.m., is said to be when the veil between our world and the supernatural is thinnest. When this mystical hour falls on Halloween, strange things happen. Welcome back, friends and newcomers who have yet to subscribe. Today we dive into true stories of witchcraft and magic that happen under the cloak of the witching hour on Halloween. So, turn off the lights, sit back, and join us, shall you? Halloween, historically rooted in ancient Celtic and pagan traditions like Samhain, is a time when the barrier between the living and the dead is said to be at its weakest. In folklore, witches are believed to have heightened powers during this night, and magical rituals are thought to be more potent. Over the years, stories of witchcraft and magic performed on Halloween have become woven into the fabric of Halloween legends. Here are some of the most intriguing true stories of witchcraft, magic, and the supernatural during the witching hour on Halloween. One of the most famous tales of witchcraft in American history is that of the Bell Witch, a mysterious entity that haunted the Bell family in Tennessee in the early 1800s. The Bell Witch legend is steeped in witchcraft, curses, and unexplained paranormal activity. According to the story, John Bell, the patriarch of the family, had a conflict with a woman named Kate Batts, who was rumored to be a witch. It said that Batts cursed the Bell family, and soon after, they were plagued by strange phenomena, objects moving on their own, disembodied voices, and terrifying physical attacks on family members. What makes this legend even more chilling is the belief that the Bell Witch was especially active on Halloween, and that her presence was most strongly felt during the witching hour. The curse that befell the Bell family culminated in the mysterious death of John Bell, which many believe was caused by the witch's revenge. To this day, the story of the Bell Witch remains one of the most unsettling accounts of witchcraft and hauntings in American folklore, with many locals claiming that her spirit still lingers in the area, particularly around Halloween. In Salem, Massachusetts, a city infamous for its witch trials of 1692, Halloween is more than just a holiday. It's a time for rituals, celebrations, and a remembrance of the city's dark history with witchcraft. Every Halloween, modern-day witches gather in Salem for ceremonial rituals that honor the spirits of the past. One of the most significant events is the witches' Samhain ritual, held deep within the woods, where participants conduct spells of protection or guidance and divination. One story from Salem describes a particularly intense Samhain ritual that took place during the witching hour. A group of modern witches gathered in the forest to perform a binding spell meant to protect the city from dark forces. According to participants, the energy in the air was palpable, and as the ritual reached its peak, strange things began to happen. A gust of wind, despite the stillness of the night, swept through the clearing, extinguishing the candles surrounding the circle. Some participants claimed to have seen shadowy figures moving between the trees, while others heard faint whispers coming from the darkness. The spell was completed, but the witches felt that they had attracted the attention of unseen forces, making them wary of returning to the same spot the following year. This tale highlights how Salem, a city tied so deeply to the history of witchcraft, becomes a focal point of magical activity on Halloween. While the modern-day witches of Salem are peaceful practitioners, they are also keenly aware of the historical weight of their rituals, especially when performed during the witching hour. In Pendle Hill, England, the story of the Pendle Witches has haunted the area for over 400 years. The Pendle Witch trials of 1612 resulted in the execution of 10 people accused of witchcraft, and since then, the region has been steeped in supernatural lore. Halloween night is said to be a particularly active time at Malkin Tower, the ruins of the cottage where the accused witches once lived. One particularly spine-chilling account comes from a group of paranormal investigators who ventured to the site on Halloween night in the early 2000s. Arriving just before midnight, they hoped to capture evidence of paranormal activity tied to the long-dead witches. According to the investigators, things began to get strange around 3 a.m., deep in the witching hour. The air around Malkin Tower became bitterly cold, and one investigator, standing in what was believed to be the witches' former meeting place, suddenly felt pressure on her chest, as if unseen hands were pushing down on her. Another investigator reported hearing faint chanting carried on the wind, although the group was miles away from any inhabited area. The investigators also captured electronic voice phenomena, EVPs, with one particularly chilling recording that seemed to say, "She is coming." The group left the site before the end of the witching hour, convinced that the spirits of the Pendle Witches still roamed the area, especially on Halloween, when their powers were said to be strongest. The historic neighborhood of Georgetown in Washington, D.C. is not just known for its cobblestone streets and colonial architecture. It's also home to ghost stories and tales of witchcraft. One of the most famous legends involves a woman who lived in Georgetown in the 18th century and was rumored to practice witchcraft. After her death, locals began reporting strange occurrences around her home, and her ghostly figure was often spotted near the old cemetery. According to legend, her spirit is especially active during Halloween, when the veil between the living and the dead is at its thinnest. In the early 1990s, a young couple reported seeing the ghostly woman while walking home from a Halloween party. Passing by the cemetery around 2:30 a.m., they noticed a faint figure standing near the gate, dressed in old-fashioned clothing. Thinking it was someone in costume, they continued walking. But as they got closer, the figure seemed to fade into the mist. Spooked but curious, the couple asked around about the apparition, only to learn that they weren't the first to see the ghostly woman, especially not around Halloween. Many believe the woman was indeed a witch, and that her spirit returns during the witching hour on Halloween to roam the streets where she once lived, performing dark rituals or seeking revenge on those who wronged her. One of the most haunted castles in France, Château de Brissac, has long been associated with ghostly sightings and witchcraft. One legend surrounding the castle involves a woman named Château de Brissac, who was murdered in the 15th century by her husband after he discovered her affair with another man. Ever since her death, her spirit is said to haunt the castle, especially around Halloween and during the witching hour. In one particularly creepy account, a group of tourists visiting the chateau on Halloween night reported hearing strange chanting and footsteps echoing through the halls, even though they were the only group inside at the time. Some members of the group claimed to see a shadowy woman gliding through the rooms, while others felt an overwhelming sense of dread as they wandered the dark corridors. Legend has it that Charlotte's ghost practices dark magic in the afterlife, using the energy of Halloween and the witching hour to increase her power. While she was not a witch in life, some believe that her spirit became one after death, cursing anyone who dares disturb her eternal rest during this time. In Louisiana, the bayou has long been a place of magic, mystery, and folklore, tied to the history of voodoo and witchcraft. One famous story tells of witches who gathered deep in the bayou swamps during the witching hour on Halloween night to perform ancient rituals passed down for generations. These gatherings are rumored to involve summoning spirits, casting protection spells, and even contacting the dead. One account, shared by a local hunter, tells of a night in the 1970s when he accidentally stumbled upon one of these witch gatherings. Lost deep in the bayou, he heard distant chanting and saw a faint glow of fire through the trees. When he crept closer, he saw a group of women dressed in dark, flowing robes standing around a large fire, chanting in a language he didn't recognize. Fearful of being discovered, he backed away quietly, but not before catching sight of strange symbols drawn in the dirt and candles set up in a circle. The hunter later learned that the witches were part of an old coven that practiced in the bayou, using the power of the witching hour and Halloween night to enhance their rituals. While the witches were not malevolent, the hunter believed that what he had witnessed was something ancient and sacred, connected to the supernatural forces that thrive in the swamps. Halloween and the witching hour are intrinsically linked to ideas of magic, witchcraft, and the supernatural. The stories of witches and their rituals during this time tap into humanity's deep-rooted fascination with the unseen and the unknown. Whether it's the lingering curse of the Bell Witch, the rituals in Salem's haunted woods, or ghostly witches in Europe's castles, these tales serve as chilling reminders that Halloween is not just about costumes and candy. There's something far more ancient and mysterious at play during the witching hour. As the clock strikes midnight on Halloween night, the world grows darker, and for a brief moment, magic and mystery become reality. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Creepy Tales and Curiosities. If you've experienced any strange or magical encounters during the witching hour, let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more chilling stories. Until next time, my friends,